Hi, I'm Paul from Herbivore. I'm a personal trainer and nutritionist, and this is the latest episode of my exciting Q&A series. This episode is kindly sponsored by underwear and sportswear company La Pasa. Like what you see? Link in the description. If you're new to these Q&A videos, the questions come in via YouTube or on my Instagram account. If you want a chance for your question to be featured in the next video, simply comment below or on my Instagram page. Make sure you're following, subscribed on here. Click the bell icon so you're notified of new videos. Question 1 is from Alison Hadzidakis. When people bring me down, I fall off my healthy routine and want to drink wine and eat comfort food. Any advice? So number 1, I would say, who are these people? And if you can do anything about it, if it's so-called friends that you hang out with, they ain't your friends. Get shot of them. We deserve to be around kind, thoughtful, positive, decent people, and we all thrive off of each other and we all bring each other up. So I'd say that's number 1. Number 2, I would say obviously it looks like you're self-medicating, you're trying to numb your feelings. There's a phrase that no one can make you feel anything. So we have some agency over how we feel relative to what people are saying. And so it's being in charge of your internal machinery, how you feel relative to yourself. For me, I feel like I'm doing great things in the world. I'm helping the people, the planet, the animals. If anyone's got a problem with what I'm doing, well, I just think the problem's with them. And, I feel genuine pity for them. If you're not so strong of the mind, perhaps like past traumas are, colouring your thought process, it's generally from childhood and then forwards into adulthood. And I've seen great things with counsellors. If you find the right counsellor, people think that that's kind of a dirty word and like a negative thing, but it's not. They can just help you, talk you through things and just undo this past trauma, change your machinery so you can just thrive as you're meant to as an adult. And what I've really learned the last few years is, I've learned to stop caring really what other people think. And hopefully that might be your answer and they can help you to do the same. KCB1268 says, how do you feel about protein supplements? Are there any you feel are better than others? What do you look for / avoid when choosing a supplement? So number 1, I'll say straight off the bat, the vast majority of people do not need a protein supplement. It's really been overemphasized by the sports supplement industry. And a lot of nonsense talked relative, particularly to a vegan diet about how hard it is to get protein. As a nutritionist, I'll write up a plan for an average Joe, not a gym goer. And it's just a range of whole plant foods, which is how the food comes from the earth, is how we're meant to eat it, not processed and bad stuff added, good stuff taken out. And more often than not, they get double their RDA from the World Health Organization of protein. So they get twice as much protein as they need straight off the bat there with no problem whatsoever. For a hard training athlete, particularly a larger strength athlete or a gym goer doing a cut, it may be a benefit to add in 1 or 2 scoops of a protein powder in terms of sports performance and physique. May be a benefit. My understanding of the science is that 1.6 to 1.8 grams of protein per kilo of lean body weight may be optimal for on a bulk to grow muscle. Less than that may slow your potential. On a cut, maybe a little higher to preserve muscle mass. So the best science tends to say around 2 grams of protein per kilo of lean body weight is optimal. Any more than that, definitely redundant. And it's not good to take in more protein than we need. It's not helpful to our bodies. But much less than that might not be optimal in terms of sports performance. When it comes to picking a powder, obviously there are thousands now. I'm sure there are thousands of vegan protein powders. Probably pretty much all of them will do the job. Obviously some are much better than others. My protein supplement of choice is VivoLife. I love this product so much. Recently I became a brand ambassador. So if you want to start buying this product the first time round, enter my code HENGE10 at checkout, 10% off. Don't say I don't look after you guys. So some benefits is bio-fermented yellow pea protein, so much more easily digestible. It's not what we eat, it's what we digest and absorb that counts. There's also some cold pressed hemp protein. 6.2 grams of branched chain amino acids, which are some very important aminos in terms of muscle growth. So that is huge. Superfood antioxidant complex, so there's dried acai, blueberries, beetroot powder, so all helps your performance and recovery. Turmeric extract, again, anti-inflammatory. Digestive enzymes, again, helping you absorb and assimilate. And natural flavourings, a little stevia, you know, much better than having artificial nonsense all stuffed in there. No added sugar, no artificial ingredients, non-GMO, no herbicides, pesticides, free from banned substances. One thing that came to light recently is that most vegan protein powders are actually contaminated with heavy metals, and this and like I think one or two others weren't. So very good reason to get this product. And not only is it all organic, it's actually veganic. So no bone meal and blood meal. No literally. The next question is from Andre Delgado. I've got a good one. I'll be the judge of that. Why does veganism cause such strong adverse reactions from omnivores? I think two reasons. Number one, if we are right and it is totally unnecessary to eat animal products, then 3 times a day they are being extremely cruel with their food choices. Now, we're all the hero of our own story, so our ego builds up this kind of picture and story of us. If they're eating animal products, it must be okay to eat animal products or they wouldn't be doing it. So they feel very, very attacked just by the mere thought of it. And secondly, you know, it has to do with the way this information is delivered. A tiny fraction of vegans, to an omnivorous eater, it'll seem like every vegan, will come across in a very critical, judgmental manner. A lot of the time, I think it's new vegans, and we've seen what's going on. We've seen what happens to the poor animals. We think we're good people. We think that our friends and family are good people. So if we just tell them, immediately they'll change. But it's not as simple as that. It's a real minefield. And we have to let people come to it in their own time. We can show what's going on. You know, we can try. Don't beat people over the head with it, though, I'd say. Be a shining example of how healthy and happy and positive vegans are. So we become a club that people want to join. And as much as we know how important this is and how critical it is for things to change now, don't try and change someone there and then on the spot. We need to plant seeds. We need to keep chipping away. Like, you know, it's getting everywhere now in media. So many vegans, like I know other vegans, and I just keep seeing little bits. People have to come to it usually in their own time, and we can't force them into it. And particularly, we can't be cruel and judgmental and discompassionate. Is that a word? I just try to speak to people how I would have wanted to be spoken to when I didn't realise we don't need to hurt animals. Drop it like it's Scott. I see what you did there, very funny. You mentioned at the camp out your eyesight has improved with whole foods plant-based diet. Anything in particular you think would help this? Thanks. Okay, so 7 years ago I went whole foods vegan. About a year later I noted that things were getting a little bit blurry. I should say I wear contact lenses. I was wearing them at the time. I thought my eyesight was, you know, getting worse over time, as you kind of expect. So I went to the opticians, had an eye test done, and they said my eyesight was stronger and I had to have a weaker prescription. About 6 months later, I went for my next checkup and they said my eyesight was twice as strong relative to the time before. So my eyesight is over twice as strong as when I started my veganism. It's not improved anymore from there, but it's a lot better than it was. I've not seen any science on this. There's a lot of anecdotes though, people I've met in person and just people talking online about their experience, and a lot of people saying that it really does help the old eyes. My suspicion is, number one, we're finding out more and more and more that a lot of the diseases that happen in the body are as the result of atherosclerosis. We're not meant to have elevated serum LDL from eating animal products, cholesterol, trans fats, sat fat. You can get trans fats in processed plant foods and sat fat in some vegan foods as well, whole foods even. So limit your intake of that. Okay, and then so over time, you know, the arteries are getting filled up. Number one killer of humans, atherosclerosis of the coronary artery, so coronary heart disease. That takes years, you know, and they're big blood vessels, you know, these arteries. So long before that, tiny little capillaries that feed the intervertebral discs, that feed nerve endings, I'm guessing that feed the eyes. if they're clogged up, now we're not getting oxygen, we're not getting nutrients delivered, and now you've got non-mechanical low back pain, potentially multiple sclerosis, we're thinking, from, the nerves not getting supplied. And I'm postulating from the eyes there, whole foods, plant-based, lower fat, reverses atherosclerosis. Now you're getting the nutrients and the oxygen in. So that's my theory. I'm pretty damn sure of it, really. Particular nutrients, I'm not too sure. We used to say carrots, didn't we? I've got a feeling some of the carotenoid phytonutrients are meant to be particularly good for eyes. Lutein and zeaxanthin, which I think are more of a yellow colour. But yeah, get yellow, orange, red veggies in, and fruits. And particularly leafy greens, because they have those colours in as well as the green, believe it or not, but they're hidden. Yeah, good question. Adam Protz, how do you stay positive about what's happening to animals and make change in a positive way, as opposed to losing your and turning people away from the lifestyle? The only single downside from going to the camper is I almost came away from it as an angry vegan again and falling out with everyone. Yeah, so that kind of touches on an earlier question, doesn't it? Very good one. And I will say, mostly, we need to know what's going on. It's good to see some footage early on in your vegan career of what happens to animals. It's good to go to at least one save and see for yourself, like it's real, like it really hits you quite hard. I was quite shocked because I thought I knew what was going on, but it just makes it really real. I would say for the vast majority of people, don't keep doing that, because it will harm us psychologically. We have these mirror neurons, we see that suffering, like we feel it, like as our own suffering, which is, I think, when I bump into activists, at events and whatever, and I really feel like saying thank you for your activism, I think it's because it's lessening my pain. The sooner we get all this sorted out, the less like I've got to kind of suffer. But the thing is not to dwell on it. And, you alluded to it in your question, it's doing something positive. So, bless her, Natasha from that vegan couple at the camp out last weekend, she said, veganize your passion. That's huge. We've all got something we can bring to the table. For me, as a physique athlete and a nutritionist, I can show the health and sports performance benefits of veganism. Not everyone's going to be a great activist or even have time potentially to be out, doing cubes and other things, experience and outreach. But we can all wear a t-shirt, we can all post an article about veganism, we can all share my videos online. Focus on the solution, not the problem. And just remember, if we're sad and miserable and attacking, like I said earlier, no one's going to want to join our club. So do the animals a favour, be kind to yourself as well. UK Vegan Trio. What's the most interesting or surprising piece of science that you've come across with regards to vegan nutrition? So we don't want our immune system on high alert all the time. That can lead to autoimmune disease, among other things. The time we want it on high alert is when we've eaten. So we've got this influx of stuff coming into our bodies, some of which will be pathogenic and cause illness. So as these particles are transversing from the small intestine through the little holes there into the bloodstream, and now we want to be on high alert, destroy any pathogens, and then we want the immune function to calm down again after the panic is over. So white blood cells in this area called intraepithelial lymphocytes. So they're white blood vessels that live around the small intestine, and it's their job to sort through and attack these pathogens. They have little receptors on them called AH receptors, and for years we had no idea what they were for. More recently we've discovered there are compounds in vegetables that fit these AH receptors, and they make these little white blood cells hyperactive, really charge them up and make them do an amazing job. And so it seems we evolved eating vegetables probably at every meal, and that's what revs up our immune function, and that stops us getting sick. There are none of these compounds in meat, eggs, dairy, fish, sugar, oil, whole plant foods, particularly vegetables. What does that tell you about what we're meant to eat? If you've enjoyed this video and you feel as though it may be of benefit to others, why not help grow our wonderful community by sharing it out on your social media, and together we'll help inspire everyone to go vegan for victory.